Dear Hollywood, could we please stop? Hello, yes, my name is Jake Monroe, and today I'm going to be disgruntled. Disgruntled. You're wondering what that means? It means not gruntled. So I'd heard rumors, whispers in the corners of the room about a remake of The Crow. The Crow is perfect. But then again, it's not about these movies being bad and needing justice somehow. Or at least social justice, as it probably would get that kind of treatment. Quite surprising to see a white male lead in a movie in 2024. Then again, we do have FKA Twigs playing Shelley Webster in the movie, so maybe she could show up and make him look like an idiot for 90 minutes. You know, to match the condescending theme that we've been seeing out of all the other Hollywood movies at the moment. But Hollywood's political agenda aside, I kind of want to just talk about this image. This. Look, I like Bill Skarsgård. I mean, Bill is in pretty decent shape. Good enough shape to play the role. As we know, Brandon Lee was ripped whenever he played Eric Draven back in '94. But this is not very hard for Hollywood to do to its actors. I mean, just look at Jake Gyllenhaal recently. And Thor. Chris Hemsworth has not been skipping those trend bologna sandwiches, know what I'm saying? And for you normies out there who don't go to the gym, whenever an actor says, I had to put on 30 pounds of muscle for a role that I'm going to be doing in 3 months, that is not physically possible. Unless you're taking enough grade A steroids to turn you into a Shire horse. So first of all, the tattoos, they're awful. They all look bad. They're cringe, okay? I don't know if this movie is going to be set in '94 or if it's going to be set in this decade. But then again, The Crow is set in their current time, so it's understandable that this is also probably going to be set in our current time. And these tattoos, man, they're not it. I've seen people calling similarities between this and Jared Leto's Joker. With the smiling face on his hand, he had that, right? Terrible. But it's interesting to lead with this image, which is not that impressive. Because first of all, the first thing that comes to everybody's mind when they see this image, before they see the most offensive tattoo in this picture, is the fact that Eric Draven's hair was this. This Eric Draven's hair is this. That's like the first thing. I mean, if I was going to be doing a remake of The Crow, the first thing I'd be doing is making sure that, yeah, okay, cool, yes, six-pack, fantastic, we can do that with CG. But the hair, can we get the hair, please? You don't do, like, the makeup and everything else. Call the movie The Crow, and then don't do the hair, right? That was the whole point. It was part of the look. No, I definitely do see the similarities between Bill Skarsgård and Jared Leto's Joker. And while I actually did like Jared Leto's aesthetic for the Joker, I actually did like it. Performance, not so much. Maybe Bill can actually pull this off. Maybe Bill can pull this off, right? Maybe he can make that, let's say, hair work for the character. But there's no way he's gonna make this work. This tattoo. What is this about? Okay? This is terrible, man. There's no way we're gonna be able to watch this movie and make any eye contact with Bill at all. We're gonna be here. Okay? This is where our eyes are going to be. And if you think I'm the only one who is not gruntled about this whole situation, then let's divert our attention to Twitter. That is not The Crow. Obviously. Fantastic observational skills. They should have just left The Crow alone. This is as bad as Jared Leto's Joker. Now, Jared Leto's Joker is primarily based on his performance, which we have not seen from Bill yet. And I like Bill. Bill's quite good in almost everything he's in. Especially as Pennywise. I think he did a great job. But image-wise, leave the 90s alone. Seriously. Look, Hollywood, I know the last time humanity was happy was in 1999. It was perfect. The 90s was perfect. And other than that slight hiccup in 2001, the mid-2000s were probably second place for the happiest moment in mankind ever. And we've been trying to recapture it since 2012, and it's not going very well, is it? Gen Z, always barking on about cultural appropriation. What about my culture, huh? What about generational appropriation? Forcing me into a state of nostalgia, a synthetic state of nostalgia, almost daily. Ultimately tainting my nostalgia. Every time I watch movies or listen to music or watch videos from that era, when I was like 15 in 2005, all I can see is your dumbasses going, no cap. For real. Oh God. Look, it's 2024. This movie is due out in June. We still have no trailer, and I can guarantee you, based on the trend of shows and movies we've had over the last 3 years, that this is not going to be good. I don't understand why we need to be remaking this shit anyway. You can still watch The Crow, okay? It's not like it's been lost to time. You can go onto Amazon Prime. If you want to slap on an eye patch, you can get it there too, if you know what I'm saying. You can always watch The Crow. No one has been like, do you know what? I'd really love to ruin The Crow. You know that movie from 1994 that was perfect, by the way? Let's ruin that, shall we? But we need to talk about the quality in general. I can't have been the only one who has seen people comparing today's CG with CG from the 90s and CG from the 90s being better. Because CG today, for some reason, is garbage. It's terrible. Why is it so bad? I don't know. Probably crunch, underpaid, a combination of the many things. I've not looked that far into this. And if they're willing to put things like Madam Web out in public, not even just a private viewing, like in cinemas, where you can pay to watch it. If that doesn't show the audacity of the cinematic industry right now, then I don't know what does. Maybe this will. Seriously, this could be the most god-awful thing that we ever will have to pay money to see. I'm not hopeful. Man, I feel so sorry for Gen Z kids, man. So much of your content, so much of your media is just rehashes of my generation. Badly rehashed crap. But it gets worse, folks. It gets terribler. One of the OG main characters from The Crow is slamming the remake already. She's mostly worried about how Bill Skarsgård will portray the late Brandon Lee's iconic character. As are we all. Rochelle Davis, who plays Sarah in the 94 goth cult classic, Gothic. Let's not get mixed up here. Bill's revamped Crow doesn't resemble anything about the true character, not even from the comic book, and her initial reaction to the first images of Bill in character was yuck. That was everybody's reaction. Ew! Because it's Eric Draven, Brandon Lee's Eric Draven, and the costume department and the makeup department and everything that culminated in that image from 1994, this powerful, timeless image, which, by the way, inspired an entire generation of goth kids, mainly dudes, to dress in a very specific way, was nothing short of genius. This entire image, power, head to toe, okay? It's perfect. Aesthetically perfect. This does not need to be changed. If you were going to change anything about this movie, this was not it. If I was going to be remaking this movie, this would have not been the first thing I changed. In fact, that would be the first thing I'd be like, right, well, we've already got the costume. That doesn't need to be changed. Rochelle kind of mirroring everyone else's expectations here. Even before the photos of Bill as Eric Draven came out this week, Rochelle says she wasn't expecting anything good to begin with. And her suspicions were ultimately confirmed. Rochelle's not bashing Bill's talent as an actor. That's not what we're saying. Okay, Bill's a great actor. I'm just saying that the dude's trying to swim in shark-infested water with a meat suit on, okay? You can... Let me fix that. Bill's trying to swim to shore in shark-infested waters with a meat suit on. He could probably swim to the shore very easily if he was wearing the appropriate attire. But because he's in a meat suit, it's gonna be infinitely harder for him to succeed in swimming to shore. Do you understand what I'm saying? This guy is going to have to give the performance of a lifetime despite the outfit he's wearing. But she hates his dingy, dirty, grungy look and says producers made this version of Eric Draven look like the bad guys he's supposed to be fighting. Yeah, for Rochelle, Eric Draven is supposed to be a good man with a good soul, and the remake seems to be missing the mark here. Again, way too premature to be saying that. I know I've ragged on this movie already, so I shouldn't really be saying stuff like that, getting on my high horse now, being like, oh, maybe we shouldn't pause judge. It's going to be shit. Hopefully, I can retract this video. So I'm just gonna delve really quickly into the production of the current 2024 Crow remake, because I want to see if there's anything in there that maybe we can use in order to shape our expectations of this movie. This movie's been in development since 2008. We had Bradley Cooper, Luke Evans, Jack Huston, and Jason Momoa all cast as Eric Draven at one point. Jason Momoa. Now here's an interesting excerpt. In October 2014, comic creator James O'Barr said, "We're not remaking the movie. We're readapting the book." That's a smart move. Have you ever met someone who reads comic books? Like, for real? I know it's easy to say you read comic books, but have you met anyone who reads comic books? Probably not. Based on the fact that no one really seems to give a crap about the plot mess of the recent Marvel movies, proves to me no one really cares about the comic books or the books. Whenever you say a Crow remake, you think the 1994 movie, right? Everybody knows that. That's the thing that everybody knows. People are going to be going to this movie with an expectation that it's a remake of the 94 movie. They're going to go in and be like, that was nothing like the 94 movie. My metaphor is that there's a Bela Lugosi Dracula and there's a Francis Ford Coppola Dracula. They use the same material, but you still got two entirely different films. This one's going to be closer to Taxi Driver or a John Woo film. See, now that would be good if it was. Then make a different movie, man. Everybody knows The Crow as the movie, not the comic book. You're setting yourself up for failure. Everyone's expectations are going to be based on the movie, not the comic. And there's going to be way more people who are familiar with the movie than there are with the comic book. And I know that this movie might be comic book accurate and absolutely perfect, which, based on the imagery we've seen, it's not even close, is it? So moving on, people are going to expect the remake of the movie. They're not like, oh, there's a new Crow movie coming out. No, people are thinking like, this is a remake of the first movie. Which it ain't. I think there's room for both of them. It's a cult classic. It's a cult classic movie. What do you mean there's room for both of them? So this guy's delusional. Part of the appeal of the Crow comics, after all, is that they can tell very different stories, Oba said. The new movie will stick closer to his book than the original adaptation. Oh no. Okay. See, now this is interesting. So principal photography is commenced back in 2022 in Prague. Paperwork filed from the film's productions falsely identified the project as a 6-episode television series. Good. Filming was previously set to commence in June 2022. By August 26, 2022, Danny Huston, whose nephew Jack was previously cast as Draven in 2015, was cast as an undisclosed role. So we've got a Batman Begins here. For those of you who don't know, Cillian Murphy was meant to play Batman, but he didn't look right. So then they cast Christian Bale, and then Cillian Murphy was recast as the Scarecrow. So we kind of got that situation going on here. It was also revealed that Isabella Way joined the cast as Zadie, and the film has wrapped as of September 2022. And then when it wrapped, virtual production on the film occurred at Penzing Studios in Penzing, Germany, while the digital asset creation and VFX work occurred in Bavaria, Germany. The film is the first major international production to shoot at the studio. Why is that? Why? The Crow is set to be theatrically released on June 7th, 2024 by Lionsgate Films in the US. So just in case you weren't pessimistic enough about the release of this movie, let's have a little look at Rupert Sanders, the director of this flick. Let's have a look at the filmography you've done, Rupert. Oh, I see you have 2 movies. Let's see what they are. I'm just joking. But Snow White and the Huntsman's a terrible freaking movie, dude. But Ghost in the Shell was great. That was good. And that came out after, right? Maybe he learned his lesson. Maybe, because I like Ghost in the Shell. In fact, I love Ghost in the Shell. I have it on Blu-ray and everything. I think it's fantastic. So The Crow could go either way. But it's not the expectation people have. I would have based it on the movie. What was wrong with that? It seems so obtuse. It seems so ignorant. It seems pretentious to make another movie based on the source material, like the 94 movie did. And the 94 movie became beloved. This guy could have made anything. He could have made any comic book into live action. And that's what he chose. The Crow. That already has a cult classic. I don't think this is going to be comparative. This is going to be comparative. There's going to be, which one's better? Which camp are you in? You don't want to immediately make a movie that is, on day one, being compared to a 1994 cult classic that you had no intention of competing with. The reviews, and more specifically, public opinion of this movie is going to be polarizing, I think. Oh, I still think the 94 movie's better. Irrelevant, because it's actually based on the comic book. Oh, but both of these movies are based on the same comic book, and I think the 94 version is better. Like, can you hear the debates? It doesn't make sense to me. Now, based on this Wikipedia article here, there is something we can be optimistic about. And it's the fact that one of the producers for this for this second Crow movie that's not a sequel or based in any way on the 1994 movie, but is in fact its own original movie based on the source material. Let's try and shorten that next time we refer to it. One of the producers was Edward R. Pressman, who was a producer from the original Crow movie in 94. I thought maybe this was going to be your own take on it. It wasn't going to be based on the original Crow movie. It was going to be based on the comic book. Why do you have a guy from the movie that you're definitely not competing with working on this movie, who sadly died last year? And then we have an even more deeply contradicting statement from the director himself. As the Crow remake drops first look images, director says Brandon Lee's memory is very much alive. Okay, but Brandon Lee's not from the comic book. He's from the 1994 movie. So it is based on it then. Are we honoring Brandon Lee? Or are we not? Are we basing this on the comic book? Or is this a remake? Anyway, guys, I want to see you leave a comment down below. Who do you think should have played Eric Draven in this rendition, which is totally in no way a remake or a sequel to the original 1994 movie? This is something completely different, so get that out of your head, okay? Who do you think should have played him? And do you think this movie's gonna do well? Have I been too harsh? Should I be more optimistic? Do I have any freaking reason to be optimistic? I don't think I do. I literally don't watch movies after 2018 anymore because they're garbage. I literally don't know how Critical Drinker and Nerdrotic watch the slop that is being released at the moment in order to make their videos. I could not bear it. Anyway, I've been Jake Monroe. I'll catch you later.